I'm going to start tonight with an induction that's incredibly important to me and incredibly important to many of you because you played and you spent years of your life at Quincy Youth Arena. In addition to players, we induct friends of North Quincy High hockey and friends of Quincy High hockey. I have the honor tonight to induct posthumously Lorraine Rooney. Lorraine's family's sitting over here, so if there's any sniffling, it's probably the guys at the table, okay? Lorraine Rooney was a graduate of North Quincy High, class of 1948. Although not a fan of hockey at the time, she was very involved in her class in other ways and made lifelong friendships through her time at North Quincy High. Her introduction to hockey came when she met her future husband, Bill. Bill had season tickets to the Bruins, and one of their first dates was to a Bruins game. As you can tell, Bill was a pretty clever guy. She was involved in athletics at North Quincy High and was a big fan of Quincy's own Mary Pratt, who many of you may recognize as the woman who played for the Rockland Peaches, made famous by the movie A League of Their Own. Quincy's own Mary Pratt was an inspiration to Lorraine. Lorraine is an inspiration to us. In 1973, Quincy Youth Arena opened with the help of many youth hockey parents, and some of them are in the room, and some of them were your parents. She and husband Bill were one of the first 100 families to donate $100 to fund and build the rink. This is late 60s, early 70s. $100 was a lot of money. She served for many years as the secretary to the board of directors and then was later employed by Quincy Youth Hockey as the secretary treasurer for many years. And it was during those years that her love of hockey grew as her son Mark played for Quincy Youth Hockey and then for North Quincy High, class of 1969. 1979. You know, these glasses, look at the size of this font. Are you kidding me? It's what makes me special. In her later years, she got to see her grandson, Matt, play for North Quincy High, class of 2003. Her nephew, Bob Frizzell, a 2017 inductee to the Hall of Fame, played for North Quincy High in the early 70s, as did his brother, Ron. It was through her work at the rink that she got to know so many of the players, families, and coaches, both of North Quincy High and Quincy High. She could often be seen in her window up top of the rink watching the high school games. As a grandmother, she thoroughly enjoyed attending all her grandchildren's high school games, soccer, basketball, football, and softball games. An example of her devotion to the North Quincy High Hall of Fame, which came along a little after the Quincy High Hall of Fame, so we had some work to do. So we asked her to see if she could track down some former schoolmates from the 40s and 50s at North Quincy High. She got the word out, and we were able to locate members from the first teams that North Quincy High fielded and put on the ice. The very fact that we were able to induct 8 players from the 40s, including former Mayor Walter Hannon, and 8 more players from the 1950s in the Hall's first 4 years of existence is truly a tribute to Lorraine's detective work and Raider pride. And Lorraine joined the group of super hockey moms that have made Quincy Youth Hockey and Quincy Youth Arena such an oasis of success and friendship. As many of you in the room know, behind every good hockey player is a woman who selflessly shares wisdom, knowledge, and a great sense of humor. She joins Bev Reinhardt, Janet Riley in the Hall of Fame, and Michelle Stenberg in 2 Halls of Fame, and other women who also fostered the growth of the boys' success, but then went on to foster the growth of girls' hockey in the city of Quincy. Folks, it's their example which inspired high school girls to participate in the QNQ girls hockey program. Lorraine joins her best buddies, Michelle Stenberg, Janet Riley, Richard Morrissey, Tom Benson Sr., Harry Messina, Bob Troop, Dave Summers, and Bruce Wood as a friend of the North Quincy High Hall of Fame. I just want you to all do me a favor and stand up and give me a round of applause for Lorraine Rooney. Thank you, Rooney family, for letting us use her and have her for all those years. Would you please come up? Okay. Mark is going to accept the plaque for Lorraine. I'd like to read it to all of you first. You're a lucky guy, right? The Friends of North Quincy High School Hall of Fame 2023, in recognition for nearly 70 years of supporting North Quincy High School hockey, along with her dedication to Quincy Youth Hockey since its inception, Lorraine Rooney, her son Mark.
I'd just like to say thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for considering this induction, and especially thank you to Michelle for everything she did for my mother. Thank you.
An incredible individual. Another incredible individual is going to be inducted tonight as a friend of the Quincy High School program. Joseph McConville. Joe? We're going to ask Joe's son Paul to come up and say a few words about his dad. And any of you that know him, and any of you that spend any time at Quincy Youth Hockey, every job that you could have done, didn't matter if you were raising money for the rink, painting it, keeping the books, everything. Joe McConville was Mr. Everything, and still is to his family. And we're going to bring his son Paul up to tell you a little bit about his dad.
Well, good evening, everyone. Should I do that again? This is a hockey crowd. Come on, okay?
No, come on!
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul McConville. For those keeping count in the McConville family, it's pretty easy for the Catholics. It's Joseph, James, John, Paul, and Mary, and I'm the fourth son. It was that way in our family when we were growing up, and I have to tell you, of all the introductions that I have made in my career, this is the one. this is the one that brings so much excitement to my voice, because this one was earned. Now, my dad is 92 years of age, going on 93. And he asked me when we were preparing for this, he said, Paul, how many years did I spend over at the rink? And I noticed that my dad is of years, and I thought, oh, I get to play the moment, the senior moment here. And I said, well, if I asked Mom, she would have said, too darn many. But because he spent too darn many, we are so fortunate to have this evening here today because he was a clerk of the corporation. I remember walking the sand of this rink before it existed and said, these people, these parents, believe in us so much that they're going to put their own personal responsibility on the line and take advantage of what we consider to be a great city with great leadership to create a rink so that kids would not get in trouble. And that really was the real reason for the rink, please, okay? So he was a clerk of the corporation. He was a coach. Anyone here get coached by my dad? We always lost, just so you know, okay, right, okay, yep. He was also a referee. Anyone here get thrown in the penalty box by him? Okay, because he will certainly give you a waiver, okay? But most importantly, what his joy was teaching the kids how to skate. And he would do that every Saturday. And then I started taking a look at it from some of the words that Lorraine mentioned about when they nominated him for a prior award. And he said 150 kids at a time for 2 sessions for 40 years. And I'm not a math major, but that's somewhere between 5,000 and 8,000 kids that learned how to skate, a lifelong skill, the confidence that they need. And as he continued to serve the Quincy community, not only have others said to us, well, gee, I learned this, I learned that, but they learned more from him because of what he taught them. And so if I could ask him to come join me here to accept this award and say some words to us, could I have a warm welcome for Mr. Joe McConville?
Thank you very much.
It rolls.
I'm a rookie. Seriously, I'm 2003 right now. But I want to thank everyone here. I also want to thank the mothers and fathers of the children in the program. And the last hockey game I refereed was last June. And one of the kids got cut. And I was right there, and I had a lot of experience of cuts in Boston Gear, and I knew that he needed immediate attention. So what I did was I just made a salute to the scoring table. That meant to tell him, get an ambulance down here right away. And it's you people out there that participate. We all have a job to do. My job that night was to take care of that youngster. And I may have left my career as a referee for the last time, but both the mother and the father called me at home to thank me for what I did. And that's what we all have to do. We're all part of the team. You never know when you're going to need it. At Boston Gear, I started my career teaching myself how to skate down on Newport Ave across from Boston Gear. Somehow I wound up in Boston Gear for 55 years. 4 of it, my baby. And up in Labrador, there's a lot of ice up there. I can do this for you. But thank you very much. As I say, if it wasn't for the parents and the support we got, we wouldn't have a program. It's as simple as that. The other thing is, and I've been told I've got more than 5 kids. No, I've got only 5 kids. But one, when he was 6 years old or 7 years old, he was skating at what was the little pond behind Dwyer's gas station. And so I was down on the ice with my 8-year-old son and a 41-year-old hockey player cut himself putting on a show. I said to my 8-year-old son, go up to Tony gas station, tell him I need an ambulance right away. Well, my 8-year-old son went up there. Right now he's at West Point. He's been there for almost 4 years now, but he'll be leaving in August. But it just shows you, no matter where you go, you need help. You need help, and you can't do it all by yourself. And I was, as I say, that was like my last game. But to think that my mother and father would both call me at home and thank me for what I did. And I thank the nurse that taught me all those comments and so forth of how to take care of people. You never know when you're going to need that skill. And it's not just putting the puck in the rink. You know, you got to have people that keep an eye on people because it may be your child or someone else's child. But that's what it's all about. Sportsmanship, winning is not everything. And I say that as I look forward to my 8-year-old son, who has been at West Point as the commanding general for the last 3.5 years, and he'll be leaving to go to whatever. He may be the bat boy for the Red Sox. I don't know. You never know what goes on this kid. But anyways, I have 5 youngsters. I had a great wife that I give all kind of credit. And if I could just go off base for a few minutes, can't tell you how many kids she saved at Chickatubit Road Beach. Because I couldn't do that, but she did. So I just want to let you all know that we're all a team. You've all got a job to do. I had a job to do. And I want to thank you for helping me along the way. Catch it on, Jack.
Paul, I'm going to give you this plaque after I read it to everybody here. Joseph F. McConville, Jr., inducted as a friend into the Quincy High School Hall of Fame, February 2023. In recognition for 25 years of instructing early player development in Quincy Youth Hockey Learn to Skate program. Served as a coach for multiple Quincy Youth Hockey teams from mites to bantams over a long period of time, because I was one of them. Served as a referee for more than a decade for Quincy Youth Hockey House League, Quincy Youth Arena tournaments, and all-star games. Mentored thousands of young kids in good sportsmanship and becoming quality young adults. And I was asked by the mayor of the city to pass on one comment. Joe, we already named a street after your family, and that's it, okay? McConville Way. It's for all of you, all right? We'll have to check on that. We're going to put your sign up there, too. Thank you. All righty. When I mentioned Lorraine joining her buddies as members of the High School Hall of Fame Friends. I would be remiss if I didn't mention who Joe actually joins. Marty Finnegan, Jack Raymer, who's coaching, he's being an AD tonight. Charles McLaughlin, Joe McGovern, Jake Ahola, Philip Zona, Ambrose Milford, Jack Crowley, Tom Darcy, Asa Bood, Bev Reinhardt, Marilyn Lou McKinney, Michelle Stenberg, Jack Scanlon, Jack McGinnis, Chris Barrett, and Bob Hayes. A wonderful list of people to be honored with, and every one of them, if you had a chance to ask them, would tell you that, yeah, I'm pretty proud to be on the list that Joe's on. So thank you again. Could everybody, one more time. Moving along, the next individual to be honored tonight. Oh, wait a second. Mr. Bertoni would like to come up and add his color to Mr. McConville's life, please. For all that don't know him, Dennis Bertoni, Chair at Quincy High.
Thank you. Just a couple additions to the Joseph McConville list. Joe actually graduated North Quincy High, class of 47. He married his wife Barbara, who was since passed. She was a Quincy High School class of 48. So it can be, it can work out when the opposite sides of the track get together. A couple other things that we're on a long list. He was the Quincy Sun Citizen of the Year in 1996. He received the Richard J. Koch Service Award in 2002 for 40 years of service to the youth of Quincy. And in 2010, he received the Quincy Youth Hockey Community Service Award for over 40 years of service in multiple roles. I have just one more thing to add. Bob Hayes' name was mentioned on that list of friends. And going back when we were lining up past inductions for friends, Bob Hayes was down in Florida. His health wasn't the best. He didn't think he could make it up here. So I said, okay, we'll table Bob, get him next time. I reached out to Mr. McConville. His words were, and this is the type of person that he is I will not go into the Quincy High Hockey Hall of Fame until Bob Hayes goes in. So again, that's just an example of the type of person Mr. McConville is. Thank you.
We are blessed, folks. The next people that I'm going to ask up here, well, I'm going to start with Al Grazioso. Al is going to induct Mr. Tim Duggan from the class of '03, North Quincy High.
It's a tough act to follow, both Lorraine and Joe McConville, two very special people. Coach Doyle could not make it tonight, so he asked me to step in, say a few words about Tim, and I'm honored to do so. Tim was a neighborhood kid who grew up with my son Matt. I remember him as a little kid skating with my son on a small backyard rink I built. I had the pleasure of coaching Tim on various teams, from Mite House League to U18 Midgets. and was able to see firsthand how Tim progressed as a talented defenseman. Coach Doyle commented that Tim was one of the smoothest skaters he had ever coached, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Before high school, Tim was an integral part of 3 state championship teams at Quincy Youth Hockey. He also played on a select state championship team, playing for the Junior Bruins. Tim also played in the national tournament twice as a bantam and a U18 midget, playing on a Quincy team that lost in the final game for the national championship in Dallas. On all of these teams, Tim was always one of the top defensemen and best skaters. Wherever Tim played, his teams always seemed to win. At North Quincy, Tim was a 4-year starter, and I believe North made the state tournament all those 4 years. Tim was co-captain his senior year and helped lead North Quincy team that was 1 win away from playing in the Boston Garden in the Division I state tourney sectional finals. Coach Doyle raved about his leadership with a group of younger, less experienced defensemen. He was a point-a-game player his senior year with 8 goals and 15 assists. It's pretty good for a defenseman. Tim was an Old Colony League All-Star, Patriot Ledger All-Scholastic Honorable Mention. But the most important thing I can say about Tim, he was always just a great kid, a hard worker who was always respectful to his coaches, parents, and teammates. Tim went on to serve our country for 4 years in the military, and he now serves our city as a Quincy police officer. He's married to the lovely Stephanie, has 2 beautiful children, TJ and Vanessa. Tim, your friends and family are very proud of what you have accomplished. I am honored to be able to present this trophy to you. It is well deserved. Come on up, Tim.
Say a few words. Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to the Hall of Fame Committee for giving me the great honor and privilege of being here tonight. Thank you very much. I want to give a special thank you to Al for speaking on my behalf. I don't think there could be anybody better who could speak about my career. You've watched me from the very beginning, so thank you for that. Congratulations to all the other inductees tonight. It's an honor to be able to share this special moment with you guys. I appreciate that. Thank you to all my friends and family for being here tonight. The celebration would mean nothing without your love and support. Thank you to my wife. You've been my anchor. You've been through everything with me. I appreciate that. I love you, Steph. Thank you to my mother for all you had to endure over the years to keep me in the game that's meant so much to me. I love you, Mom. Thank you to Coach Doyle. I know he's not here tonight. Sean Vermette, Jim Fatzius, Dan Stone, and all the other coaches that I've had over the years through youth hockey who've helped guide me through my life. Thank you to the Red Raider hockey program. You've given me some of the best memories from my childhood with stories that I continue to share with friends. I feel blessed and humbled that I get to share these special moments lost to times past with friends that we can only truly appreciate. So thank you again for giving me an opportunity to share some of the joy it was to experience our time together playing the sport that we love so dear. Cheers.
Hey, Timmy, you turned out pretty good, huh? The next inductee tonight is Doug Kincannon, class of 1983. We're going to ask Bob Sylvia to come on up and have a few words for us. Bob. Coach Sil.
Thank you all very much. First, I'd like to not welcome, but congratulate all the inductees. We're dealing with the cream of the crop. We're dealing with the kids that really made it. And it's a pleasure to be here, and it's an honor for me to be here with inducting a few of my kids. The one thing I'm not going to get into statistics. I never believed in statistics. I never had one college coach ask me how many goals or an assist a kid got. What they wanted to know, they asked basically one question. Can the kid play the game? Can he play the game? Obviously, we've got a group of kids in here that knew how to play the game. And the first one I'm going to introduce is one that played for me. A kid by the name of Dougie Kincannon, a power forward, a leader. He was the kid that when the other guys were in the locker room and came down to the third period and something had to be done, Dougie was the guy that did it. And it was an honor and a privilege to coach him. So Dougie, in behalf of your teammates, in behalf of your coaches, in behalf of the family that nurtured you, and in fact for all the thousands of kids that manned the locker rooms at Quincy High School, I welcome you into the Hall of Fame. Dougie Kincannon.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you to the committee for nominating me. Thank you for Ted Walsh for speaking on my behalf and making this a wonderful night. All the inductees and prior inductees, congratulations. Hockey at Quincy High kind of became, it became who I was. It gave me a purpose. It made me study harder, so I didn't get, Mr. Sylvia didn't sit me, you know, I had bad grades. And by the way, the only time we didn't do suicide study is when we beat Hanover, right? There's a reason for that, Bob. Yeah, really, it's Quincy High School hockey typifies everybody in this room as a community. And as he spoke earlier, the hockey family we have is, you know, second to none. And Joe McConville taught me and Mike Shenette how to skate at 5 years old. So, salute Joe. I mean, it's unbelievable. Thank you. Speaking on that, I wanted to tell everybody, Teddy and I's classmate, Mike Shenette, class of '83, went on to West Point, captain in the Army, is diagnosed with ALS. So it was diagnosed in September. We organized the West Point versus alumni, Quincy High School / North Quincy. Anybody that want to participate, anybody who wants to play, anybody wants to get involved. We have a Facebook page about it. We're having an alumni game on March 25th, and then we're having an event at the Sons of Italy afterwards. At the Elks afterwards. Having all sorts of raffles, prizes, guest speakers. Anybody that wants to get involved, I would really appreciate it. You could contact me, Teddy, and like I said, you can go to Facebook and figure it out. But I'm looking for some players. Anybody wants to play? You want to play? You can still lace them up. You're more than welcome. If you're still smooth, you got to take it down a notch because we're all 50-something. But especially ex-military, we're looking for some to fill the West Point roster. We needed a few other guys. They're sending like 10 or 12 from all around the country. But we're looking to fill it, and it's going to be quite the event. Like I said, if you want to go on the GoFundMe, or if you want to go on and donate to the event itself, buy a ticket, show up. It'll be a blast, and I know Michael and his family would appreciate it. And that's what this is all about. the hockey community stepping up when someone needs it. And I'm proud to be part of that. Thank you.
Wow, if anybody wants to look at what an example some of the players that are in this room are about, here's a guy that's getting inducted to the Hall of Fame tonight. And but what does he really want to talk about? He wants to talk about a fundraiser for ALS, Mike Chenette, that will be occurring at the Quincy Youth Hockey Arena, as he said. If you have a problem and you forget where to call the rink. Michelle knows where to send you, get you the information. They're already asking me to ask, some of the guys like Tim to make sure no one gets ticketed up there on C Street and over in Grumpy White's during the game. So we appreciate you. And Doug, thank you so much for what you do. And thank you for your example. The next gentleman tonight that is going to be inducted is Richard Tapper, class of 1983, North Quincy. Coach Kevin Jago is going to induct him to the Hall of Fame. Kevin Jago.
Good evening. Thank you. Dickie Tapper is from a long line of tappers that have been through the program. Dickie Tapper's dad, Big Dick Tapper, was one of the best, huge supporter of me personally and the North Quincy High School hockey program. I got the job late back in the 80s. We had 12 games, no non-league games. We put the team together at the very last minute, didn't have any captains. We were kind of floating by ourselves a little bit. I had some of the kids on the JV, but we were playing Brockton. We were getting our butts kicked. Myself and my staff walked into a locker room. Dickie Tapper was taking a leadership role and killing the kids. I took the staff, got the heck out of there, and made him and Davey DiCarlo captains. Leadership, as we've heard on the military side, the sports side, is so important. Dickie was one of the best leaders. I had 7 years of varsity, was one of the best leaders of the team that I've ever had. He's a 50 career point kid, played 1981, 82 varsity, 82, 83. Again, my co-captain, killed penalties. Probably the best penalty killer that we had ever had, him and Robbie Reedy, another Hall of Fame inductee. Dickie was the junior year, was the most improved player, and then we used to have, when the Quincy North game, we used to have a most valuable player. Dickie was selected as the most worthy opponent in the Quincy high school versus North Quincy games. Phenomenal player, phenomenal kid. We used to run a two-man forecheck. In 2 years, Dickie was never the second man in. He was always the first man on the puck. Pound for pound, one of the toughest kids I ever dealt with. But just a phenomenal leader, a great player, a great kid, now a well-respected Quincy detective. One of my favorite players of all time, for helping me get the program in the right direction between him and Davey DiCarlo, helping with the kids in the locker room, showing the leadership skills, and just being an outstanding citizen as he is today with his family. Dickie, it's with great pleasure that I welcome into the North Quincy High School Hockey Hall of Fame.
Thank you, everybody. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Coach McConville. Coach, I was a byproduct of your teaching back in the day when Quincy Youth was at the Pilgrim Arena in Hingham before we ended up at Quincy Youth Hockey. So thank you very much for your teachings. Thank you, Coach Jago, for that kind of introduction. To the Hall of Fame committee, past, present coaches, players, Hall of Famers, family, friends, thank you for attending this special night. I would like to congratulate my fellow 2023 inductees into your respected high school Hockey Hall of Fame. It's definitely a job well done. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge my family in attendance tonight. My wife, Jenny, my daughters, Sophie, Katie, Maddie, my brother, David, a 2014 North Quincy Hall of Fame inductee, my nephew Cole, my brother Jamie, my nephew Cam. Unfortunately, my daughter Allie and my mother Janice were unable to attend tonight. It has been 43 years since I donned the Red Raider jersey under Coach Kevin Lewis and Coach Kevin Jago. My hockey career stemmed from skating JV with frequent assignments to dress to the varsity as a sophomore to playing varsity in my junior and senior years. In my final season as a Red Raider, I earned the honor of wearing the C on my jersey. If I had to compare my style of play to anyone, it would be that of Boston Bruins great Terry Taz O'Reilly. He played the game with heart, toughness, grit, passion, and also took on a leadership role amongst his peers. Playing hockey for North Quincy would start a family tradition. The number 18 was worn and passed down from me to my brother David, then finishing up with my brother Jamie. There were certain rituals I had done to prepare for game day, like take a nap, eat Snickers bars, and retape my stick. Back in the day, hockey sticks were made out of wood and fiberglass. I remember heating up my stick blade over a gas stove pilot to get a better curve. I would place a strip of white tape on the bottom of the blade from hilt to tip before wrapping it with black tape. It wasn't until my first shot when I realized that I might have overdid it a little bit. The puck came off my stick, sailed over the goalie's head, striking the end glass. This happened on a few occasions in which Coach Jago graciously offered to take me down to Wally Beach with a pocket of pucks to see if I could hit the ocean. We skated in the Suburban League against teams like Brockton, Waltham, Brookline, Newton North, and Cambridge Fringe and Latin. There was only one team that really counted. That was playing our cross-city rivals, Quincy High. When we played each other, it brought out the best of both teams. The Quincy Youth Arena was packed with students and adults. The fans went crazy as we lined up in the face-off circle closest to the main entrance to the rink. They yelled, they banged on the end glass, which would make any player get hyped up. I had a good rivalry with a Quincy High School player. It was defenseman Brian Silcox. I being a winger and Brian being a D-man, we had many tough battles in the corners and in front of the net, AKA the dirty area. The dirty area was my favorite spot for either tipping the puck or banging in a rebound. I really enjoyed battling the defenseman in front of the net while screening the goalie as he hacked at my ankles with his stick and waiting for either point man Bobby Lynch or Steven Denelspick to let one fly from the blue line. I would also like to recognize my line mates, Hall of Fame Scott Messina and Hall of Fame Rob Breedy. Because of their hard work and dedication on the ice, their actions made me become a better hockey player. I would also like to acknowledge all my Red Raider teammates whom I had the privilege of suiting up with. In closing, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Hall of Fame Committee for bestowing on me this great honor. To Coach Kevin Lewis, Coach Rick Hutchins, and to the late Coach Rick Avery, thank you for your dedication you demonstrated for North Quincy High Hockey Program. Coach Jago, thank you for letting me be your captain, your coach, and most of all, a friend. Thank you for keeping your promise. You will never know how honored I am. I will and always be forever a North Quincy Red Raider. Thank you.
The next inductee to tonight's Hall of Fame is a gentleman by the name of Brian Nevins. Some of you don't recognize that, so Barney Nevins is the kid I'm talking about. I had the pleasure of not being the first employer that Brian had, but there's a period of time when I got into the Quincy Youth Arena as the manager of the pro shop. And of course, Brian came along and said, geez, that skate sharpening doesn't look that hard. I could do that. So we gave him a shot. A lot of the blades looked like this for the first week or two, but hey, they weren't my skates. And I used to always tease Brian and another gentleman from North Quincy High by the name of Dave Hurley. I said, guys, we're sharpening these skates. It's $1 a piece. You know, let's make sure that all the money that we get for sharpening these skates goes into the register. And they said, why, Jim? I said, because I have to have a few bucks to take too. So it really came down to watching Brian and David and myself all giggle as we were sharpening skates. We weren't clipping money, didn't matter. We might leave with a super blade every so often. But Brian Nevins and his family, and Bobby, where are you, Bobby? Bobby! The Nevins family was ever present at Quincy Youth Hockey Arena. It was a pleasure and an honor to work and to watch Brian grow into the great person he is today. I'm going to ask Coach Bob Sylvia to come on up and share his thoughts about Brian Nevins, or Barney. He called you Barney. Call him Barney.
The one thing that is prevalent amongst all our inductees tonight is the term passion. Passion for the game. I think that's the key. I know that in my coaching career, coaching thousands of kids, I know that there are kids that didn't like you. I couldn't care less if kids liked me or didn't like me or thought I was a good coach or a lousy coach. The only thing I ever hoped for was that none of my kids could ever question my passion for the game. Barney Nevins was a kid that had great passion from the game. He comes from a great family. I remember his dad. His mom was a legend. She was very involved in the Booster Club. His brothers, one of his brothers is also in the Hall of Fame, and we just met the third brother. Barney was the type of a kid that just loved to rock'em sock'em in the mold of the Velikos and the Walshes. He just liked to get out there and pound it. You know, in those days, I think he was called the pride of Germantown. And it is such a pleasure, in behalf of the students at Quincy High School, the players through the years, his teammates, his coaches, his family, to welcome Barney Nevins into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Jimmy, do I give him this? Anyone got, no, it's got his name on it, so let me give you that.
All right, I was told to keep this under 5 minutes. I timed myself a few times. I'm about 4 minutes and 25 seconds. So, Coach Sylvia, thank you very much for your kind words and for introducing me this evening. I will never forget my time playing for you. We had some very good, tough hockey teams, and you always had us competing at a very high level. On behalf of myself, my teammates, and all of the Quincy High players you coached for over 40 years, thank you for all that you did to make Quincy High School hockey what it was in the past and what it is today. I am very grateful to be supported tonight by my family and friends. I want to thank my lovely wife, Claire, my daughter, Kathleen, my son, Patrick, my granddaughter, Mary, my brothers, Bobby and Michael. Michael, who is not only a Hockey Hall of Famer, but also a Football Hall of Famer from Quincy High. My sister Jackie, my stepdaughters Caroline and Jess, their boyfriends Justin and Shane, my sister-in-law Ann, my two aunts Mary Ellen and Dolores, my friends Paul, Bill, Bobby, and of course my mother Mary for attending and being part of my induction this evening. I also want to thank the Quincy Hockey Hall of Fame Committee for their decision to allow me to become a member of such an elite group of people, and a special congratulations to all those being inducted tonight from both Quincy High and North Quincy High Schools. I also want to shout out to and give a special thanks to Mark Giordani for all his support and advocacy on my behalf. I fell in love with the game of hockey as a kid growing up in the projects of Germantown, also known as G-Town, during the 60s and 70s. You could and you would walk outside your door in the morning, and there would be 10 to 20 kids waiting to play either street hockey or pond hockey. It was always our street versus your street. We would grab T-shirts, we'd write our street names and our favorite numbers on the back, and we'd play hockey until we couldn't see the hockey ball or puck any longer. Those were great days. I also have great memories of attending games at the old Boston Arena to watch the older kids play under Coach Sylvia, and hoping that one day that would be me out there wearing the blue and white. Growing up in the projects, believe it or not, had many benefits, and to this day I have such great memories that I cherish about my youth. Without a doubt, growing up and playing in G-Town made me not only the player I became at Quincy High, but also the person I am today. I am able to stand up tonight because I played with some truly talented players who made me better and made our team better. Teddy Wiedemann, Frankie Guest. I could go on and on. However, there was one player that will always have a special part in my heart, and he's already been mentioned, but Rick Avery. He was my defense partner for not only part of my high school hockey years, but also for a good part of my youth hockey days. Back in 1974, there was a character in the Boston Globe of Rick and myself, and Coach Sylvia was quoted as saying, in that character that we were the best defensive duo I've ever coached. I really wish I could have celebrated tonight with Rick. Unfortunately, Rick passed away at a very young age. I truly believe that Rick at some point would have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the two people who had the most influence on me during this time of my life and going forward. My Uncle Paul Lewis and my mother Mary Nevins. At a time when I needed a strong, guiding hand, my uncle was always there for me. He was a person of true integrity who gave me many life lessons and who impacted my life tremendously. Without him, and for all that he did for me, I truly don't know where I would be in life right now. Thank you so much, Uncle Paul. And to my mom, my 92-year-old mom who is here tonight. You were a true hockey mom before that was really a thing. You made sure that I had the best equipment. I always remember those Christmases when I always received those wooden Christian hockey sticks and my special curve. You were the one who drove me to the high school at 4 a.m. to then get on a bus, which would take us to our tryouts or practices at either Neponset or Shea Rink. Although you attended all my games, you were never able to actually watch the games. You would always pace under the stands until the game was over, and you always felt so bad for the teams we beat. Mom, I am very grateful that I get to share this honor with you tonight. Thank you, everyone, and again, congrats to all of you tonight.
Congratulations, everybody, tonight for getting inducted. Walked in and thought I was walking into the Hofbrau for a second, but I didn't realize that all these guys were going to be here tonight, so it makes it a little more nerve-wracking being up here. But we tried looking for like stats and all that fun stuff. Sil kind of put it best. We really don't have much of that. Since the time we played, there wasn't really any bookkeeping for us. But I had the chance to play with Brian my entire life with my twin, and he spent a lot of time with us, with my father. And I wish my father was here to see this tonight, because he would have been. It would have been incredible for him to see Brian's name get put in the Hall of Fame. The only story that I can tell about Brian, like, we have some award stuff that Danny found, and Michelle found a little thing in the newspaper, like they just mentioned. He was one of the best goalies in the league at the time, back in like '96. And you know, our teams weren't very strong. We struggled a little bit. We were like a 500 team, kind of trying to get to the tournament. And the only reason why we could get anywhere near the tournament was pretty much because him. And I'll never forget one of the games. I'll give you one quick game. We were playing Weymouth, and I have a special connection to Weymouth because I'm a best friend. And we were playing Weymouth, the Pilgrim. And I swear to God, I think the boys can attest. They're all sitting over there. They're all on the team except for Southern, because he played street hockey. But I think Brian made 70 saves. My best friend grabbed me after the game and said, like, there was no shot in hell they thought they were going to win that game. And that's like what he did day in and day out. You know, he was a fantastic baseball player as well. We're hoping if they put up the Hall of Fame for North Quincy that his name can get put in that as well. But he played baseball as a lefty and caught in hockey as a righty. It was like the weirdest thing ever. But he was absolutely, you know, he was just a stud. He was a stud between the pipes. And me and my brother knew that any game we were going into that he was playing with us, that we knew we had a shot, you know. And, you know, when Danny, we were trying, and my mother said, don't do it, but I'm going to do it anyways. But I found out they couldn't get a hold of our head coach from that time. If you know, you know. And I told them that it wasn't a big deal if you didn't come. And she's going to yell at me now when we leave, but oh well. Dealt with it for 44 years. I can deal with it for one more night. But about an hour later, after we figured that out, you know, Danny called my phone and he said, I'd like you to present me this award. And, you know, all the emotions came back. When I got the call about what happened with Brian, I was at the right place. I was at the hockey rink with my kids, you know, and that phone call came, and, you know, to see his name get put on that wall, it's so well deserved. He was, you know, he was the best. If anyone knew him, I know Robbie's over there too, and Marky, they knew him very well too. Like, he was just the best, you know. I know a lot of the younger guys knew him too, and he was just incredible. He used to do like drills at practice that we do, like shooting on him, and he just couldn't beat the kid. His hands were quick, you know. And, you know, unfortunately he can't be here tonight with us, but Danny's gonna come up and grab this award for Brian. You know, he was just he was as good as it got between the pipes. You know, I mean, it's the easiest way to say it. Danny can say that I'm wrong all he wants, but that's the way we feel, and we were on the ice with him, you know. I watched him play goal from the penalty box a lot, and he was fantastic, you know. But Danny's going to bring up Brian's daughter with him to come receive the award tonight, which is extremely special, that they could all be here. I mean, it's amazing. So.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank the board for electing Brian in here, especially Mark and Al. My daughter Lauren wrote a letter, I think probably the last day that you could possibly write a letter to get Brian in here, and it was a beautiful letter, and explained perfectly who Brian was. And he got in, and we got a call from Mal, and I had actually given up hope that he would get in here, and it's a tremendous honor. A number of years ago, Brian had played in the Boston Garden in the 8th grade for the Junior Bruins, and then about 8 years later, he played at Fenway Park in an All-Star Park League game, and I remember him coming home and saying, "Dad, I've done it all." And I said, "I don't know about that, Brian, but I know he's up there with Bruce Wood, and I know they're smiling down on us." Bruce was a huge part of Brian's life. He worked for him, and it was also part of, he coached Brian, him and Kevin Mock, for a number of years. And Joe, I just want to give a shout out. Thank you very much. You know, you helped a lot of kids play hockey just by teaching them the right way, you know, and thank you very much. And also to Bill Hughes, who was Santa Claus every year for as long as I can remember. And I also want to thank my beautiful wife, Michelle, my daughter, Jennifer, Kristen, my son, Danny, who's also a product of Quincy Youth Hockey, and all my friends that are here tonight. As far as Brian's accolades go, he was Freshman of the Year, and he was the unsung hero of the year when he was a senior. And what I can say about goalies is they get too much credit when they win, and way too much criticism when they lose. And it's a tremendous honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm a little partial to goaltenders. People say that they're really smart and they're really dumb. I'm an example, so is Jimmy Dunn. I want to also share my thoughts. Brian was the real deal, guys, and having been a North Quincy goalie in this hall, I can't tell you how happy I am to welcome him to the hall. So, to the family. This whole room is a family. The next person we're going to ask, Bob Sylvia, who's walking up here already, to induct, is one of the 2,000 Giordanis that are in all the halls of fame in the city of Quincy. Matt, come on up, Matt. We're going to have him come up too. We're going to move along here. Bobby, take it away.
Giordani. When you say that on the Quincy part of town, you're talking about hockey royalty, athletic loyalty, go beyond hockey. Matt's father, Jeff, was a great athlete at Quincy High School, played hockey, played football. His brother Jeff will probably be in the next class of inductees. His Uncle Mark was the best athlete I ever saw in my 40 years at Quincy High School. And his cousin Josh is also in the Hall of Fame. Matthew was a leader, a sniper, a tough kid. I can remember one game, and Matt would probably have to refresh me, but as I recall it, came off the ice. We were playing in Brockton, I think, in the tournament, and his shoulder was all banged up. And the trainer looks at me and said, "He's done." And in my mind, I said, "He's done, we're done." So anyway, Matt says, I'm not going. I'm not going to do it. The trainer said, well, so I said, what? I think his parents were over on the other side. Matt will have to remind, was it Teddy? Yeah. And somebody came over and somebody came over and Matt went back in the ball. That's just how tough he was. I mean, he was just a gutsy kid and, hey, typical Giordani. So in behalf of his teammates, in behalf of his coaches, in behalf of the family that nurtured him, and in behalf of the thousands of kids that made up Quincy High School, I'd like to welcome Matt Giordani to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Sil, for that induction. I'd first like to congratulate the other inductees from both Quincy High and North Quincy. I believe combining this Hall of Fame is a step in the right direction. Thank you, Coach Sil, Coach Walsh, for all the memories we shared together. Thank you for always believing in me starting my freshman year. I was fortunate to play with players like Teddy, Josh, Woody, Kreger, a big reason why I'm standing here today. I'd like to thank my family and friends that were able to make it here tonight. My Uncle Mark, Uncle Bill, Ed, thank you for always being such good role models in my life, still to this day. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my parents. Their commitment to always putting my brothers and I first and putting us in the best position to be the best players we could be while growing up. We played on 3 different teams for a handful of years, and you guys forfeited most weekends to be there. 7 a.m. hockey games in Charlestown, South Boston, Cleveland Circle, hundreds of games and practices. Collectively, I couldn't count on one hand how many you missed. The only way I could ever repay you for your commitment is to do the same for my kids. Hockey was such a big part of my life growing up, not just hockey, all sports. I grew up in a very competitive household with 2 brothers, Mike and Jeff, and Josh, who lived right next door. For those of you who are unaware, Giordanis really don't like to lose. Not in hockey, not in anything. Still to this day, I can honestly say that still stands true, and I put most of the blame on my dad and my uncle. They too were pretty damn good athletes in their day, so I've heard. And further, I don't think I'm going to be the last Giordani standing up here giving a speech. Fluff, you're next. Captains from the Quincy and North, you are in the midst of some of the best memories of your life. The Quincy vs. North game, the energy in that building, the atmosphere of a packed house is something I will never forget. My advice to you is trying to take it all in. It will be over in a blink of an eye. Fast forward 15 years of my life, and I'm fortunate and blessed to be able to show my love and commitment to a family of my own. Caroline, Nate, JMO, Remy back home, I love you guys. I'm going to end with this. From all the games and practices, ups and downs along the way, losing 10 games by 1 goal my junior year, to us starting out 8-0 my senior year, to the long bus rides down the Cape, to the lifelong friends I've made along the way, to Sil's legendary pregame speeches, and the countless times he told us we looked like a bunch of chickens with our heads cut off in practice. It was one hell of a ride, and Quincy High Hockey, you will always have a special place in my heart. Thank you again for this honor.
The next inductee this evening is an interesting gentleman. I had the pleasure to be one of the many people in the room that have coached him. Tough, compact, but powerful. And we're going to ask Jim Dunn to come up and introduce him. James Fitzpatrick.
Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I can. Okay, good. So it's James Fitzpatrick now. I only knew him as Jimmy. I met Jimmy when he was, I believe, 6 years old, Mite House League. I was so not prepared to coach Mite House League. And to this day, I'm grateful to your mother and father for helping me through that. To this day, with Mrs. Dunn, Fitzpatricks are her favorite family in Quincy, without doubt, without doubt. So, Jimmy, outstanding player. I got his stats here. I got his accomplishments and awards, you know. But I think the best part of Jimmy was how quiet he was as a player. His wife, Alana, might disagree, but he was a quiet kid. All he did was smile. All I see is the smiles in his two daughters. They have the same smile. So, but Jimmy, he was always there. There he is. You know, when you were an opponent and you looked up, there he is. When you were an opponent picking a puck out of your net and you looked up, there he is, celebrating. We had the good fortune once to bring a bunch of Quincy kids, won the states here and competed nationally. I think Mr. Walsh was part of that team. It was a great group of players. It was, you know, they played the best players in the country. And, you know, you look up at the leading scorers. Who's the leading scorer in that tournament? There he is. Very quiet. And now here you are. And you belong here. Outstanding. So his you know, really a tenacious hockey player, tough, a natural leader. He was a three-time league. Wait, hold on one second. He was a three-time league All-Star, consecutive years, sophomore, junior, senior. He was a 7th Player Award winner. He was an MVP in his senior year. I mean, that's what his teammates thought of him. He was a Patriot Ledger All-Scholastic. And he truly was one of the fixtures in that team. So it is a great honor for me to welcome Jimmy Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'd like to thank the committee, all you guys have done. I'd like to thank all my coaches, Mr. Doyle, Sean Vermette, Jim Fatsis, Jimmy Dunn. As well, I'd like to thank my family, everyone who came here. I was lucky enough to play in that 2007 game where Quincy, and North Quincy, played in overtime. For the first game ever, played in the state tournament, and the result was North Quincy won in overtime. But in all, I'm truly honored. I'm truly honored to be a part in this Hall of Fame. And I thank everyone for coming. Thank you guys all for your consideration. Thank you.
Jimmy, U.S. Marine and a Quincy firefighter as well. The next gentleman that is going to be inducted tonight has the significant plus and minus of having a dad who is a coach. Ted Walsh III. Now, do we call him T3 or is that anything? Yeah, okay. Teddy, as I said, comes from a hockey family. We're going to ask Bob Sylvia to tell you a few things about Teddy. Come on up, Bob.
No, I haven't taken too much time up here tonight. I think you'll all agree on that. But I do. This is a special moment for me, because at my age, I don't know if I'm ever going to get another chance, but this is a chance to not only honor Teddy, but to honor his family. I said to Big Ted, who's probably of all the kids that played for me, probably one I love the most. But anyway, I said to them when I came in, I went over to the table and saw Big Ted's father, TW, that I had a special guest that came with me tonight, but you can't see him. And I can remember driving down from Green Harbor, and all of a sudden I smelled this cigarette, some guy that was smoking a cigarette. And basically I knew he would be here, and he is here. His name is George Peachy. And George tonight would be so proud of not only Teddy, but when you take a look at the Walsh family, you take a look at Christina was a hockey player, Tommy played hockey at Quincy High School, Ted was a Hall of Famer, and young Teddy was right in the same mold. Just a great hockey family, and the apple doesn't far fall from the tree when you look at Carol and TW. It's just a great hockey family, and I've been honored to have been involved with them. Teddy was the consummate. Young Teddy was the consummate captain, athlete, tough-nosed kid, compassionate. That's the one thing I remember about him. Compassionate. I'll tell you how compassionate he was. There was one day, it was before a game, and it was a typical Friday night practice, afternoon, and, you know, I was trying to give the kids the old gung-ho speech for the next game. And we're in the locker room, and all of a sudden the kids start laughing. I'm saying, what the hell are they laughing? And so I got kind of ticked off. I said, okay, well, we'll go in the coach's room. And I can remember Teddy coming up behind me and saying something. Big Ted says to me, Sil, they weren't laughing at you. You're wearing 2 different sets of sneakers. Right? But that was the kind of compassion, and we had a lot of fun together. And it's so humbling, and I'm so honored in behalf of all the kids that have played at Quincy High School, in behalf of his teammates, in behalf of his coaches, and in behalf of one of the great families in Quincy, I welcome Ted Walsh to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I want to first start by thanking the selection committee for this incredible honor of being inducted in the Quincy High School Hockey Hall of Fame. This is a truly special night for myself, but more importantly, my friends and my family. I want to also congratulate all the other inductees who deservingly will be going in tonight as well. It is a well-deserved honor for you all, and I'm very proud to go in with such an incredible group, even the North Quincy guys, I guess. I was fortunate enough to grow up in the Quincy High hockey program. My father has been coaching since I was born, and I grew up riding the bus and traveling with the team. It's funny, growing up, most young hockey players in this area want to play for the Bruins when they get older. That's their dream. My dream, however, was to be a Quincy High President hockey player. Names like Heidel, Matson, Verlico, Nolan, Burns, Giordani, McCann, Germain, Campbell, Valentini, and so many others were not just hockey players, they were like superheroes to me. I am forever grateful to have been a part of this program from such a young age. I want to thank my teammates that played such a huge role in me being here tonight, and I can't stress enough how much they helped me along the way. From freshman year to senior year, I had the pleasure of playing with so many great teammates that were such great hockey players, but even better people. I would not be here without them. Many of these teammates will deservingly be in this Hall of Fame someday, and I can't wait to be here to see them get in. A special thank you to Casey Conley, Jeff Giordani, Mike Leone, Mike LaBelle, Nick Massoni, and Andrew Bythrow. We had been playing hockey together since we were little kids, and to share my high school hockey experience with them is something I'll truly never forget. I had the honor of spending 2 seasons with 3 teammates that truly taught me what high school hockey was all about. Mike McCann, Mike McPherson, and Matt Giordani were upperclassmen who really took me under their wing. Must be a House Neck thing. They were incredible teammates who took care of the young guys and showed us how to compete while still having fun on and off the ice. Sorry, Mom and Dad. That is something that I tried to pass on to future Quincy players like Kevin Keith and Derek Murphy, to name a few, when I was an upperclassman. These were young guys who came up towards the end of my career and helped our program in ways that I don't think they'll ever even realize. They have since become 2 of my best friends. If I could have taught them half the things that the upperclassmen taught me, then I know I did a good job. Matt, I can tell you that there's nobody more deserving of this honor to be in the Hall of Fame than you. And being able to play 1 year with Derek and watch the incredible player that he turned into is something special. I'm so happy for the both of them. I next want to thank my coaches who helped me get here. From a young age, Jack McGinnis taught me that hockey was a competitive sport, but more than anything, it was supposed to be fun. Thank you, Jack. As for my high school coaches, we actually go way back, seeing as one of my coaches was my father. He started to bring me around the program when I was very young and introduced me to my future head coach, Bob Sylvia. Knowing Sil when I was young was much different than playing for him when I got older, to say the least. Before I got to high school, I knew Sil as the nice guy that my dad coached with that sold candy bars and soda out of his office in the gym. My first day of high school hockey, I realized when we got on the ice, he wasn't my buddy anymore. He laid into me about acting like a superstar because I was out on the ice with the varsity to the point where my ears were ringing. And that's when I knew two things. One, I was now playing big boy hockey, and two, that I wouldn't receive any special treatment because my dad was a coach with Sil. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I want to thank Sil for teaching me about the game of hockey, how it should be approached, how it should be played, and how it should be loved and enjoyed. More importantly, I want to thank Sil for teaching me about life. We would spend countless hours in his office talking about music, my college plans, what I want to do in the future. Sil, I'm forever grateful for everything you've done for me. You are and always will be one of the most impactful people in my life. Finally, I want to thank my family. To my beautiful girlfriend, Erin, who was an incredible athlete of her own while she was in high school. Although we didn't know each other at the time I was still playing, your unwavering support of my passion for coaching this program is truly special to me. Winters can be tough with our schedules because I'm spending so much time at the rink. You understand my passion for this program and are so supportive in everything I do. I love you and thank you. To my grandparents, Tom and Carol Shaughnessy, thank you for supporting me in everything I've ever done. Whether it was going to games or just making a phone call every once in a while to see how things were going, your support is something that I'll always appreciate. Although my grandfather Tom is no longer with us, the impact he had on my life will stay with me forever. To my grandparents, Ted and Carol Walsh, thank you for countless hours traveling all over New England to watch me play. From Rhode Island to New Hampshire, you rarely missed a game. Those of you who are in here tonight who have been to a Quincy High hockey game over the years, you know Ted and Carol, even if you've never actually met. They've been the couple standing in the corner in front of the snack bar since the 1960s watching Quincy High hockey. My love for this program started with them. Thank you to both Nanas, and thank you, Pa and Pops. To my brother Tom and my sister Christina, thank you for being the support system at the rink, but more importantly, at home. You guys spent numerous hours traveling all over to watch me play, and seeing you guys behind the glass drove me to be the best player I could be. Getting to watch you both in your own respective careers is something that helped me become a better player. To my parents, the older I get, the more I have a better understanding of what you guys sacrificed for me, as well as Tom and Christina. In youth hockey, getting up early to drive me to games or practice, spending money on travel teams or new equipment, whatever it was, you guys found a way. Mom, thank you for finding a way to work a full day, get dinner on the table, and still get me to practice, driving me to places like Lake Placid, or telling me how good I played, even if I played terrible. You were the positive influence that I needed when times were good or bad. Dad, thank you for not going easy on me despite the fact that you were coaching your son. I would always hear rumblings of people assuming that I had it easier playing for my dad, but it was just the opposite, and it was the best thing for me. You taught me about competing, working hard, being a good teammate, and wearing the Quincy High jersey with pride. Proud of so many things tonight, but the thing I'm most proud of is getting to be a part of the same Hall of Fame as my father. I spoke to Josh Giordani a few weeks ago about this, and we both acknowledged how special and unique it is to be able to share this with our fathers who accomplished so many great things before us. I want to end with this. You guys are probably saying, thank God, wrap it up. Hockey has taught me a lot about life, how to be a good teammate, work ethic, discipline, the joy of victory and the pain of defeat. But more than anything, hockey has taught me about friendship. The names I mentioned earlier, Conley, Giordani, LaBelle, Keith, Murphy. These are lifelong friendships that aren't just based around hockey, but became what they are because of hockey. I mentioned earlier that names like Giordani, McKeon, Campbell, Germain, these are my heroes growing up. Because of Quincy High hockey, I now have the pleasure of playing hockey with my heroes every week. Because of Quincy High hockey, those people that I once looked up to for so long are now some of my great friends. That is why, to me, there is no greater program to be part of than Quincy High Hockey. To the coaches and players that I work with on a daily basis, thank you for reminding me how much I love this program. I look forward to seeing so many players I've coached over the years right here in this Hall of Fame where they belong. Thank you to everyone who's ever supported me in my career. You are the reason that I have the honor of standing in front of you tonight. Thank you.
I think we might have a broken boy here.
Want to bring it to him?
Easy playing for his dad. Nothing to it, right? The next individual tonight that we are going to induct to the North Quincy High Hall of Fame is a player from 2009. Brandon Gilmore. Brandon. Jim Dunn is going to induct Brandon into the hall.
Brandon Gilmore is a fantastic hockey player. Fantastic hockey player. You know, everybody in every sport, hockey's no different. There are several types of players. There are players who like the game. There are players who love the game. And then there are players that are delirious about the game. Brandon is delirious about the game of hockey, and it shows. I mean, the results speak for themselves. Impressive. Some of them. 4-year varsity player. The fours, I call them. 4-year varsity player. All 4 years, his team qualified for the state championship. All 4 years. Well, 3 times he was a league all-star. Of course, his freshman year was rookie of the year, so that counts as a 4. 2-time MVP of the team, which tells you what his teammates thought of him, his coaches thought of him. My God, overtime winners, big goals, points. So as rookie of the year, quite a few points. His senior year, he tallied twice the number of points of his freshman year. I watched this little boy when he was 6 years old, and he didn't grow as a player, he evolved as a player. He's delirious about hockey. And everybody that's coached hockey or played hockey knows at every level, it's about less time, less space. He found a way to find both. One of probably the best pure goal scorers I've ever seen. And I'm old and been around. So it just absolutely fantastic. I couldn't be happier for this young man. He was revered by his teammates and he was respected by his opponents. So that's enough for him, right? But there's no better recognition for a guy that lives and breathes this game and was so skilled than to be inducted into this hall. It is an honor to induct Brandon Gilmore into the Hall of Fame.
All right, I'll try and keep this short and sweet like Jimmy did. I just want to thank the Hall of Fame committee. Thank you guys for putting this together. This was amazing. I want to thank my family, my mother Terry, Jimbo, Janice, my girlfriend Sarah, Emma, my brother TJ. Appreciate you guys being here. Oh, Mike, sorry. Yep. I want to thank my coaches. None of them are here, but I'm pretty sure Bobby Doyle's in Mexico right now. I think that's what he told me, so he's having a good time. All right? I want to thank my teachers for putting up with me, right? It's tough. I want to thank my Auntie Terry, my Uncle Danny for basically letting me in your house, you know? Appreciate it. And we all know I wouldn't be up here without that man right there, Jimmy Fitzpatrick, right? So, we were talking about 2007, right? I'm sure some of you were there. Fluff, you might want to close your ears for this one. But it was honestly, I played in a lot of big games, right? That was the best moment that ever happened to me in sports, right? Everyone we knew was there. Legit. The whole rink was full. Close your ears, Fluff. But these moments, right, they just come. And it's high school hockey. And we don't think of it until it's gone. And it's the best time of your life. And I just want to thank you guys for having me up here. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Fitzy. All right? Thanks, guys.
In many occasions, you'll have a process like this, and you always say, we're going to save the best for last, right? Well, that just might be the case. Derek Murphy, Quincy High, is going into the Hall of Fame, and he's going to be inducted by his brother, Stephen Provost. Stephen? It's all right, we'll let you.
I want to start from my favorite memory of Derek growing up. I want you to imagine for a second this little pasty toddler with really blonde, almost white hair, wearing a diaper, stealing his older brother's rollerblades. He could barely walk, but he would take his middle brother's rollerblades, put them on, and while everyone was sleeping, you would hear in the house, stomp, 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 roll, bam. Stomp, 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 roll, bam. That was Derek early in the morning, and just wearing a diaper, going across the house. Stomp, stomp, stomp was him pushing off, and then he'd roll across the floor and let the walls stop him. Which actually, years later, turned out to be his style of play, because when he had the puck, he would skate, and when he had a back check, he would just glide. So, yeah, I know. There's truth in every joke, right? So let me just start off with a few facts, because what he accomplished, I play with a lot of players. I was around the rink a lot before I was in high school, after I played for Quincy High, and some of the stats that he put up were just, to me, mind-boggling. So he was a 4-year varsity starter, a 2-sport athlete. His freshman year, I think he had an injury, so he had 1 assist. But the next 2 years, his freshman all the way through junior year, he had 29 goals and 28 assists during that time. Then his senior year, he blew up, and he had 31 goals, 12 assists for 43 points. He tied the league in scoring. He had a 6-goal game. There were 7 goals scored by the Presidents. He scored 6 out of the 7, and a 7-4 win over Brookline. that year, in his senior year, and he amassed an incredible 99 points during his career as a president. To me, those are mind-boggling numbers. He was a two-time league all-star. When I asked Coach Lewis, who coached him his senior year, how would you describe him? He said he was an explosive offensive player, and he had potential to score every time he had the puck on his stick. And he was really, really exciting to watch, as was Brandon. I'd go to both their games. Two really exciting players to watch. After graduating, he went on to play junior hockey for the Bay State Breakers. And during that time, he made a decision to play for a team that had a little bit more firepower than him, and that was the Army. So he went into the Army. He was there for 3 years. He was deployed. He put himself in harm's way to save really to help us, right? To save us here in the States that didn't have to go in, and to save his fellow soldiers. He did 3 years. He left as an E4 specialist, and today he's on the Quincy Fire Department. So it's my honor to welcome Derek Murphy to the Quincy High School Hockey Hall of Fame.
I'm the last one tonight. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I know it's been a long night. I want to thank Steve. Thank you for that introduction. That was beautiful. It really means a lot to me. I want to thank the Hall of Fame for hosting a great night tonight. It was an awesome time. Been a great time tonight. And I want to thank all my coaches, previous coaches, legendary Bob Sylvia, absolute, unbelievably great guy. Wore his heart on his sleeve out in the ice. Coach Walsh, I was trying to muster up to make a joke about him tonight, but I remember the dent he put in the locker room door with his forearm. So I'm not going there tonight. Not tonight. Coach Sill, I was very happy to have you for my 3 years. I was sad to not have you for my senior year, but I was extremely honored to be one of your players in your final years. It was a great time having you. You were a great coach. I want to thank my family, my fiance, Brianna. We didn't really know each other back in high school, and I doubt she ever stepped in a rink, but now she gets to see me as an out-of-shape beer league hockey player, so she loves that. I want to thank my dad. I don't know how you did it. You worked like 7 days a week, and I don't remember one practice you missed or one game you missed. Unbelievable. You were there for everything. Thank you. Mom, thank you for being my #1 fan my whole life, no matter what I did, whether it was hockey or anything else. You were also my loudest fan by far. I'm surprised you're not screaming right now, but... And to my brother Steve, who introduced me, who is also a Hockey Hall of Famer here, you really don't know how much you mean to me. Growing up through life, like, we had a huge age gap, I know that. Like, I still have great hair, you left yours back home in North Carolina. But every big decision I had in life, I would think, what would Steve do? Or I would just give him a call and just see, like, what were you thinking? You really put a huge impact in my life. You're a great role model, and you're still doing it to this day, being a great father and a great husband. Well, it's been a great night. It's been a long one, but I'm truly honored and blessed to be inducted tonight, and thank you.
This is a family. Thank you for sharing your stories and your sons and your friendship. Good night.